Here at Frederator, we know that the second an episode becomes banned, everyone wants to know more about it. The overwhelming curiosity that sets in when an episode of your favorite show is yanked away for mysterious reasons is often enough to make you go mad, or at least spend a few hours looking into every dark corner of the internet. But which are the episodes so controversial that they remained the stuff of legends? Hey guys, I'm Haylizbeth with Channel Frederator, and today we're going to be counting down the top 6 banned episodes you'll never see again. Well, that is unless you find them somewhere illegally posted on the internet. Number 6. Rocko's Modern Life leapfrogs. Even with the formidable competition of shows like Ren and Stimpy, I think we can all agree that Rocko's Modern Life was the champion of the 90s when it came to placing adult jokes in plain sight within a show supposedly for kids. Remember that time when Rocko got a job as a telephone sex worker? Or the time the clerk at the No-Tell Motel was impressed that Rocko and Heifer wanted to stay the whole night? Our point exactly. So it shouldn't surprise you that the first and only Rocko episode to be banned in full was episode 2A of season 1. The very premise of leapfrogs would raise a flag for anyone over the age of 13. Rocko's neighbor, Mrs. Bighead, feels neglected by her husband. She coaxes Rocko into coming over and fixing a few things around the house. And it just gets weirder from there. Eyes are described as supple and soft, as an obvious stand-in for boobs. Mrs. Bighead puts Spanish fly in Rocko's lemonade, and best of all, Mrs. Bighead asks Rocko to zip up her dress, only to have the dress rip in half to reveal her naked body. One could see how an adult would enter the room and immediately fall over in parental outrage. That's probably why it only aired twice in 1993 before Nickelodeon banned it, placing it away in the vault until they launched Nicktoons TV in 2002. By that point, I guess they figured any long-standing Rocko fans could watch it as an adult and have that ooh moment. Ever since then, Leapfrogs has stayed in its rightful place in Rocko's episode catalog and remains easy to find for the curious. Number 5, Tailspin, Flying Dupes. You know this is going to be a crazy list when number 5 is Disney airing a terrorist plot. Tailspin had this strange setup where all your favorite characters from the Jungle Book were, for no apparent reason, transported into the 1930s human world. Baloo was given the role of a cargo pilot, Louie owned a nightclub, and let's not forget that Shere Khan stood upright and wore a swanky suit. Disney had some interesting ideas in the late 80s and early 90s. Wonderful, but weird. Yet Tailspin's brief tenure on the air from 1990 to 1991 didn't end quite as lightheartedly as one would think. The episode, Flying Dupes, which became the series finale purely for coincidental reasons, followed Baloo as he's hired to bring a housewarming present to the High Marshal of the neighboring country, Thembria. Turns out, uh-oh, that present is a bomb, and Baloo is being used as a pawn in order to kickstart a war between his country and Thembria. Why would someone dupe a flying Baloo so callously? In order to increase profit of arms manufacturers, of course. And this was in a Disney show. Disney quickly yanked the episode off the air because the underlying terrorist themes somehow weren't apparent to the executives before they aired it. Flying Dupes did air once more in 1999 on Toon Disney, though this was by accident. Show terrorist conspiracies once, shame on you. Show terrorist conspiracies twice, shame on Baloo? Yeah, let's blame Baloo. It's probably what the network said. Number 4, Tiny Toon Adventures, 1 beer. I won't pretend to know how other countries handle drug and alcohol education in schools, but in America, things can get a little, heavy-handed. In the 90s, a lot of kids' cartoons felt like they just had to get on that juicy PSA action with the Tiny Toons Adventures episode, 1 beer. How could an episode of a quirky, fun-loving show like Tiny Toons be so horrifying that it scarred any child unlucky enough to catch it that one fateful time it aired? Well, this episode disproves any theory that young animated animals can't get totally wasted over the course of an entire day after sharing 1 beer between the 3 of them. After Buster peer pressures his friends into crocking into the nectar of the hops with him, the 3 almost immediately start acting and looking like crazed drunkards. They drink in a public park, weird out their lady friends, ditch school, and steal a cop car. They swerve up a particularly curvy and narrow narrow mountain road with surprising ease, all things considered. And so now they're probably just gonna have a close call, right? I mean, this is a children's show after all. Nope. They drive off the mountain and die. And they don't cute fake cartoon die either. They actually die. One Beer was a segment in a larger episode called Elephant Issues, which didn't really help its case, considering the other segments centers around racism against robots and someone who's illiterate due to television addiction. But One Beer was definitely the reason the whole episode was pulled from circulation forevermore. Number 3, Dexter's Laboratory, Rude Removal. When Dexter's Laboratory premiered in 1996, Dexter and his pesky sister Dee Dee proved an unstoppable hit for Cartoon Network. And no wonder, it was one of the network's high-rating shows during a golden era, since it proved a veritable breeding ground for showrunners of other widely popular shows. Craig McCracken with Powerpuff Girls, Butch Hartman with Fairly Odd Parents, and Seth MacFarlane with Family Guy. Those are just a few notable alums. So with a runaway hit like Dexter's Lab, it might rightfully strike you as odd that there's an episode that Cartoon Network's media library denied even existed for 10 years. Rude Removal was banned before it ever aired, and for a long time after its production in 1998, it was merely the stuff of legends. Circa 2012, it was still regarded by fans as the hardest thing to find since the Holy Grail. It played at a festival once or twice, and showrunner Tarkovsky would bring it with him when he did lectures once in a blue moon, but largely, it was silenced. So what the hell is in this episode to warrant such mystery? Well, the plot centers around a machine Dexter just finished, called, you guessed it, the Rude Removal Machine. Dexter and Dee Dee both end up in the device, which sucks out their rudeness and creates a brand new pair of Dexter and Dee Dee doppelgangers for that rudeness to take over. Now, if you think rude Dexter and Dee Dee just don't say please, you are sorely mistaken. No, the rude counterparts really love to swear. A lot. And not just craps and morons. Oh no, there are actual F-bombs in there. Yes. Dexter says the F word.
I can't even say the F word!
While each foul word is lovingly bleeped, their lips are still plainly visible. Plus, on the title card, Dee Dee would be giving the finger if she had 5 fingers to give. And so, Rude Removal was buried deep and became the stuff of legends for many years. Shortly after the Tarkovsky AMA, where a fan brought up the Holy Grail comment, Adult Swim asked their Twitter hive mind if fans still had any interest in seeing the lost episode. As you might have guessed, the response was overwhelming, and so the episode was finally unearthed to be shown in its full glory on Adult Swim's website in January 2013. Well, the censored version. Number 2, Pokémon, Electric Soldier PORYGON. One of the most famous banned episode hooplas of TV history comes from an unexpected series. After all, adorably badass creatures fighting each other seems innocent enough, right? Wrong! Turns out, there's a lot more controversy surrounding Pokémon than you think. The series has a number of episodes banned, for reasons varying from gratuitous gun-in-the-face placement, Meowth having a Hitler mustache, Jinx's uncomfortably racist design, to, inflatable boobs. Yeah, that happened. But there's one banned episode that threatened curtains for the series. The incident became so infamous worldwide that it was later spoofed by the likes of South Park and The Simpsons, even though Electric Soldier PORYGON never aired in the US. Imagine that it's 1997 in Japan, and you're sitting in your home watching a new episode of your favorite cartoon, where Ash and his pals find themselves in cyberspace hanging out with a cool new virtual reality Pokemon. You'd never imagine Pokemon could go into cyberspace, so this is all very exciting. The animators too felt this excitement, because when it came time for Pikachu to use Thunderbolt and explode some virtual missiles, they felt the cyber-themed called for something extra special. So you, squeezing your beloved Pikachu doll, watch as your favorite Pokemon's cornerstone attack trigger a fast-paced strobe effect. Now, if you didn't know, 1 in 4,000 children are vulnerable to health issues related to strobe lighting. Unfortunately, 4 million children were watching Pokemon that night. And while the numbers suffering at home from dizziness to temporary blindness cannot be estimated, 685 children were rushed to the hospital as a direct result of the episode, many with seizures. Thankfully, most made speedy recoveries, though some were diagnosed with epilepsy. This catastrophic event had several repercussions for both Pokemon and Japanese children's television. Obviously, the episode was banned from circulation in every region forevermore. Pokémon itself was immediately yanked off the air for 4 months, and poor PORYGON, even though he had nothing to do with the stroke, has never appeared on the show since. When the show finally did come back on the air in Japan, it was preceded by an infomercial explaining what had caused Pokémon shock, and assuring viewers it would never happen again. The incident was also responsible for a health PSA now shown before every children's cartoon in Japan, warning kids to watch in a well-lit room and to not sit right in front of the screen. Number 1, South Park, 200 and 201. Surprise! That show about 4 foul-mouthed boys that sometimes features a singing piece of poo got the number 1 slot. Since its premiere in 1997, South Park has basically offended everyone in the world at least once. So it's fitting that for their 200th episode in 2010, creators Trey Parker and Matt Stone wanted to gather everyone the show has ever offended into one epic angry animated mob to file a lawsuit against the town. Actually, that wasn't the problem. Tom Cruise offers to lay off the lawsuit if and only if the town can get the Muslim prophet Muhammad to meet him, so Cruise can harvest his immunity to ridicule. 200 and 201 are peculiar in that their main purpose is exactly what makes them controversial. Parker and Stone know as well as you or I that there have been controversies surrounding images of the prophet Muhammad, but they wanted to prove a point about free speech. Parker said, "We'd be hypocritical against our own thoughts if we said, okay, well, let's not make fun of them because they might hurt us." The duo seemed determined to tackle this ultimate taboo, kind of like a moth to a flame of PR hell. Not that Muhammad hadn't appeared in South Park before. His censored image is central to the episode Cartoon Wars from 2006, and they got the prophet in uncensored in the 2001 episode Super Best Friends. They've even stuck a teeny tiny version of him in the opening credits. But 200 and 201 pushed their luck. When 200 aired, Muhammad's image was never actually shown. Rather poignantly, the boys carted him around in everything from a mascot costume to a U-Haul truck. But Parker and Stone immediately received a threat. Of course, this episode was a 2-parter, so as the threat came in, 201 was already in the works for the next week. And boy, the censorship went all out. The prophet's image had a giant censor bar upon it, and every mention of the name Muhammad was bleeped. Plus, a bunch of additional audio got heavily cut, including, somewhat ironically, Kyle's final speech about intimidation and fear. How much of this censorship was put in by Parker and Stone, and how much was added later by Comedy Central is unclear, but the final product was definitely not what Parker and Stone delivered to the network, and they were mad. Furthermore, 200 and 201 only aired once, and neither were ever replayed on the usual midnight rerun spot. It's as if Comedy Central execs were hoping and praying that no one was watching this controversial episode of one of their most popular shows, as it had been getting a lot of news coverage. Everyone from Bill O'Reilly to Anderson Cooper was covering the story. Jon Stewart even went on a long rant about it on The Daily Show. These episodes were not even placed online like all the other South Park episodes. In fact, for copyright reasons, all other Muhammad episodes were pulled. And even though this happened 7 years ago, you still can't stream 200 or 201, or even Super Best Friends. They appear on the website just to tease you. And then you get the message, "We apologize that South Park Studios cannot stream these episodes." Once again, I'm Haylizbeth, and thanks for watching Channel Frederator. Did we miss a crazy band episode of your favorite show? Tell us in the comments below. Don't forget to click the bell icon to become part of the notification squad. Check out some of our other videos, and make sure you subscribe to Channel Frederator so you don't miss a thing, because remember, Frederator loves you.